Twins lose a walk-off again with Joan Duran on the mound. Willi Castro can't come up with a fly ball to deep left field. Brooks Lee's hitting streak continues, but there's not much offense other than that. Simeon Woods Richardson makes his best start of the season. It's only 5 innings, but maybe better things will be ahead for him. Can we expect better things from the Twins overall? We'll try to answer that one as soon as everyone gets locked on Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insights, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who expects to feel better from bronchitis any moment now. I'm also a BBWA member who gets to vote for the Hall of Fame. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warne, who expects to find random Seattle Mariners legends on Google Earth. Why can't he find any random Twins legends that way? Maybe we'll ask him. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. Once again, as I wheeze, you can find our work at Access Twins and Zone Coverage. On the show today, 4 straight losses overall and 2 straight walk-off losses to the Astros with Duran on the mound for both of them. The Twins really needed him to be at his best for at least one of them, and he wasn't. Willi Castro can't come up with Mauricio Dubon's long fly to left. Not a routine play, a difficult left field compared to others around the league. But if that's Harrison Bader out there, he catches it. But it couldn't be Bader because he was in center, because Byron Buxton got scratched because of his sore elbow. Right? That's how the series went. Twins offense scored 9 runs in the past 4 games. All losses. Brooks Lee hit a home run Sunday and extended his hitting streak to 15 games. So we'll look a little closer at how he's doing over that hitting streak. The best news from Sunday easily was Simeon Woods Richardson keeping the Astros off the board for 5 innings. It wasn't Houston's best lineup, and it was only 5 innings, but it was better by a mile than we've seen from SWR. The Twins are still over 500, even though they've dropped 4 straight. They've fallen out of the provisional AL wildcard zone. So these losses will need to stop. They won't stop today, though, because there's no game. But the Cincinnati Reds are next. Hunter Green is on the IL. They won't see him in the series. But the Reds will still present a challenge. Brandon, you pitched pretty good. I didn't know you were a left-handed pitcher. Yesterday, you pitched for the Astros yesterday. And that guy, I know it seems like, well, who's this guy, Brandon? I've even forgotten his last name. It's
Walter?
It's not Brandon Walter, yeah.
2
first-name guy. Never trust those guys. He's been pretty good, and he was good before. Brandon Walter, a couple years ago, 22, 23, in there in the minor leagues, had a 68-3 strikeout-to-walk ratio. So this is a guy who is a capable pitcher. So it wasn't like he came out of nowhere. He just didn't come out of really somewhere we could see for the Twins. And Brooks Lee was the only one who got him. Brooks Lee hit a home run into the crawfish boxes that would have been a home run in 27 out of 30. It wasn't one of those typical dinky Crawford box home runs. It was over 100 miles an hour hit. It was good. But the Twins, Carlos Correa continues to not hit. He picked a bad time to pick a bad time. Should we be just kind of morose and not John Paul Morosi because they're playing not so good, or they're right in the race and we should just sort of take heart with that?
I mean, I don't know. I think ride the wave, right? Like the boys say.
Sure.
I wish I had more answers. I think what was particularly frustrating was Correa going 0 for 3 in huge spots. And now, based on, I'm going to have to pull this up here because I don't have the exact numbers, but I know he's got just dreadful numbers against the Astros, which, he's not a sleeper agent, but he's hit 167 with a 231 on base and a 167 slugging percentage and 26 plate appearances against the Astros. It just, that coupled with the plate appearances taken in big spots in the finale. I don't know. I felt a little added frustration, not enough that I'm going to go on there and say the Twins should trade him like the Red Sox did Rafael Devers. Boy, was that a surprise. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit too, but it just goes to show the amount of frustration that can build up in just a handful of games after a great winning streak. And there's just not a lot. Like, I understand fans who say there's not a lot of reasons to be optimistic in this moment. I understand fans who say, I think I might have bunted with Christian Vasquez in extras. I just don't have a lot of time for people who are rockhead this, rockhead that, when, as I pulled the numbers, it was something like 14 sacrifice bunts by visiting teams in almost 600 plate appearances. It's just not a thing teams do, because playing for one run, unless you have your closer available, and most teams use their closer to get to extras, I don't know. Right now it's kind of a holding pattern for me from a mentality standpoint. Does Byron Buxton come back on Tuesday? Corey Provus seemed quite sure during the game on Sunday. But your point too about, if Bader's in left, he catches that. Maybe Deshaun Kiersey does too. He's sitting on the bench. Now, with that said, Willi Castro was a Gold Glove candidate as a utility man. I'm not taking him all the way out of the game for defensive purposes. So I don't know if you don't move him onto the grass unless it's for Jonah Bride. I don't know. There's a lot of what ifs that people are claiming should have gone the other direction. And I don't really have any time for that sort of wish casting or whatever it is. And it applies to Simeon Woods Richardson coming out after 5 solid innings too. And the bullpen did what it was supposed to do. Is just Joan Duran had a hiccup. And this is a team that punishes those. It's not as though they got beat by guys with 800, 900 OPSs like Prime, Bregman, or Correa or Altuve. Cam Smith beat them, on Saturday. He's not having that great of a year, and maybe you walk him to face Cooper Hummel in an alternate universe. And ultimately, it was a frustrating series, but you move on. You go on and face Jeff Carr's Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, so many things aren't going particularly well. It's not like you said. You can blame Rocco for this or that. I'm going to blame the players really for not really coming through. I can't see that. Correa, by the way, in the last 11 games, the Twins have gone 4-7 in those games. Correa is 10 for 46 with 3 RBIs and 3 doubles. He's in 217, 234 on base, 283 slugging, 12-1 strikeout to walk ratio. That's been consistent.
Yeah.
No matter how good he's been doing, if he's gotten a hot streak, he's not walking and he's kind of striking out a lot. So he's not no matter what is, even if he is coming through with a hit once in a while, he's really kind of lost up at the plate. And it's just, he's 20% or so below league average.
Yeah.
And I can't figure out why, because he's been really good defensively.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers back that up. So it's not he's kind of, pulling his left leg behind him, and he doesn't have an injury that we know of that is preventing him from being able to field. But, it's been, that he's the guy that needed to come through. Duran, it's not like Duran got absolutely slaughtered, but even Rocco said, you listen closely to what Rocco says after the game, and he goes, well, if we get 3 outs in the 9th inning, we win the game. I mean, that's as close to under the bus as Rocco's gonna throw anybody. And Duran needed to come through in one of those 2 games. But I get back to what you said about the offense. They scored 6 runs in the series and 9 runs in the 4-game losing streak. If they score 3 or 4 runs like a normal team, they win that game.
Yep.
And they didn't do it.
The Correa's playing like another Astros shortstop turned twin right now. Do you know who I'm talking about? Adam Everett. He's playing like a guy who is more than capable at shortstop defensively, but isn't hitting a lick. And with Duran, I want to say this. I just don't have the level of confidence you would expect to have in a guy with those statistics. It's uncanny to me. I don't know how else to explain it. And I feel like we could probably fill up another segment, and we will, about that game, because there was how Simeon Woods Richardson was managed. There was Willi Castro going 3 for 4 and then 0 for 3 in bad decisions the final 3 innings. And I'm sure I'll get my deserved label of Willi Castro hater. I'm not a hater, but I'm not a fan. And I don't know. There's a lot of things that will also come to mind. I guess I don't want to steal our thunder from the next segment, because I suspect you're going to want to talk about all those things, Simeon, and that sort of thing. So I don't want
to talk about. I don't know about that. But,
contractually obligated.
Let's take our. I guess I signed something.
Yeah.
Let's take a break.
And we've got a new sponsor here at Locked On Twins. If you're thinking that your business could use an extra line, if you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? Nope, you moved on to the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important, and that's why you need Open Phone. It's the #1 business system for phones that it'll help you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Did you juggle 2 phones to keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone will solve that for you instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more who's handling this. You run the risk of passing the buck or anything like that. And the AI agent handles after-hour calls, answers common questions, and captures leads, so you never miss another customer call again. Open Phone is offering Locked On Twins listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers.
Locked On Twins had for returneth Monday, June 16th. We're talking about the Twin series at Houston. 3 losses, 2 walk-offs to end it. Willi Castro could not come up with a fly ball. Now I can't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but I've talked to other major leaguers about Houston's outfield, like not the players, but how it's constructed.
It's horrible.
It's different. It's different than every other league, because you got the crawfish boxes in left field, it's very short. And then you've got like these really high fences with arcs and
pillars,
kind of recessed pillars. And it's not easy to play out there. So it's not that I give Willi Castro a pass for not catching the ball, but it's not an easy. That's not a fly ball to left field and target field. It's different,
right? I think he gets punished by the fact that he had pretty big mistakes in the 9th and 8th innings too. What are you complaining about there? Refresh my memory. Okay, so getting kind of wandering off second base on the comebacker off the bat of Ty France, and that alone is an issue. But then freezing, not getting into any appreciable rundown so that France could get to second base and make it a net neutral, or not a net neutral because France is slower than Castro. And so again, maybe I'm overanalyzing the idea that he could get into a rundown. The pitcher did a great job of freezing him and running at him, which is what they teach you foundationally to do when you want to begin a rundown as the defensive player. But wandering off the base in the first place, the contact play's not on second base, Willie. I don't know what to tell you there. Anyway, so not holding up, knowing your own value. You're going to score from second base on a lot of things anyway, and it's a comebacker. Like, it has to clear the pitcher for you to go, and it would be behind him. It would be to his left. So he would have taken third base if it clears the pitcher. That's baseball 101. So that's one issue in a game where they desperately needed runs. And then when the tying run scored, he threw on the fly from left field home on a play that he really had no chance of making. Altuve walks into second base, more or less, and that's a baseball IQ play. I mean, I'm not sure. I was actually talking about this. I was in the mentions of Chris Cotillo, but he had mentioned that Alex Bregman they had won a game, and he was in the corner working on swing stuff with one of the rookies. I think it was Christian Campbell or Marcelo Meyer or whoever. And I thought to myself, having Correa, Altuve, and Bregman on the same team must have been an insane luxury for guys who were willing to help out other players and just be good clubhouse guys. But Altuve, walking into second base, it was a basic IQ play. And I mean, the game could have been over then, because if he comes home on a single instead of I think it was a line out to Bader that ended that inning. That's the game right there. And then the ball hit Willi's glove. I think that's the most problematic thing. The corner is tough, or like, it's not really a corner. It was like a corner of a pillar of the wall. Again, all of these things individually are mistakes that you can say, all right, guys make mistakes. The game moves much faster than we realize watching it on television. And I think what made it even more frustrating was that he had 3 hits to open the game. He was 3 for 4. He and Brooks Lee were about the only guys who did much offensively. So it was just kind of a Willie giveth, Willie taketh kind of day.
Yeah, you reminded me about the throw. By far the most egregious mistake he made was the throw.
Yeah,
that was unforgivable.
Yep.
And it was like it wasn't even a second guess. You could sort of see it in the air. It's like, I can't see him throwing this guy out at home.
Well, the trajectory, just keep it low.
Yeah, just
it's
make
artificial
sure
surface,
that the guy doesn't get to second base. Just make sure he doesn't get to second base. He didn't even give a crap about the. I mean, and that was killer.
Well, so hit your cut. Your cut is Carlos Correa, who is going to redirect it as quickly, accurately, and as crisply as any shortstop in the league. Like, there's just the trajectory alone. Altuve had no issues. I didn't obviously see, but I think he literally could have walked into second base. There was no prayer of cutting that ball off, not even if Carson McCusker was the cutoff man.
Yeah, that was his worst. The comebacker, I give the benefit of the doubt just because there's not really a runner on second, Cam, that we can see exactly how the play unfolded in front of him. It was a good play by Walter. Really good play to do a rundown without any throws. I mean, those are the best rundowns every time. You little leaguers out there listening, if you're going to do a rundown, run at the batter first before you throw the ball. But it's I can see where someone would be frustrated at Willie for that, and that's not what they needed. I go back to, well, it would have been if they'd scored 3 or 4 runs. We could have seen them play above all these mistakes, but we didn't really do that. So Brooks Lee has a 15-game hitting streak. It's somewhat impressive.
Yeah.
It's not super impressive. He's kind of got the same thing that Correa does. He's got like in the span of this hitting streak, he's got like a 15-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. It's pretty good. He Brooks Lee, even last year.
Sorry to interrupt, but he leads the Twins in hits on pitches out of the strike zone. That tracks with that K to BB ratio, don't you think?
Yeah, but it's not, it's sustainable with something like with Byron Buxton.
Right.
I
think he'll walk maybe league average, and I think he'll strike out 16% of the time. Like, I think where he's at is a path. Like we've seen, he's played about as many games last year as this year, and you've seen the progress. I think he's like maybe not 100 points up on OPS, but 70 or 80. You can see the vision, you can see the value, you can see the improvement. However, it's still happening in a means or a measure where like it's not maybe how he wants to go about it.
John Lano, one of our fans, is like, I don't know what to do with Brooks Lee. Do I believe in it? Do I not? If you look at his expected weighted on base average, he's still below league average. He's at 284. It's trending up a little bit recently, but it's still,
he's no Nolan Jones.
I was thinking about Nolan Jones. I think Brooks Lee is a guy who maybe people overestimated his hit tool a little bit.
Yeah.
I see a guy that knows how to come up with a hit. I don't know that all the tools are there for him to be. I mean, to me, it looks like it's a short sample, but Keyshaw's going to be a better hitter than him.
Oh, yeah.
That said, Lee can play defense at third base and shortstop, and those are not, and he's a switch hitter. I just think the best version of him as a hitter, we're not going to see, but for a couple more years. I think it's going to take a while. It's going to be.
It's like a 115, 120 weighted runs created plus instead of 130.
I mean, maybe not that good. I was hoping for maybe 15%. Yeah, maybe his good seasons will be maybe 110, and his typical season will be maybe 99, 100, which is it's
a valuable
nothing
player
to sneeze at, but it's not maybe the greatest. So, Hey, let's take our last break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about SWR and some more things.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. That's right. I'm talking about our old friends over at Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order your products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. With a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order besides, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service from the best folks in the game, and you'll always get to talk to a real person. And if you're a trade pro looking for an extra edge, they have a free Trade Master program that offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5, that's Sam Horn 5, for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
Locked On Twins, final segment. SWR, the best thing to come out of the game yesterday was SWR's performance. It was pretty short. It was only 5 innings.
You used the phrase come out of the game. That was pretty good. The best thing to come out of the game was SWR.
Was his performance. But
yes.
I don't have a problem with 1 second with Rocco taking him out after 5 innings. 2 reasons. Right. One, his history, SWR's history of going around the lineup again and not doing so well against the opponent. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't the Astros' best lineup, but SWR was having some trouble in AAA getting those guys out. So let's just look at it like that. And 2, you want a guy who has struggled so much at the major league level this season to come out with a good feeling about how he pitched.
He had a big smile on his
really
face.
Good.
He had a big smile on his face in the 6th inning, talking over reports with, I think it was Pete Mackey and one of the other pitchers. You can't understate that or overstate that or whatever is the proper terminology in this moment.
It is absolutely essential for the Twins to get through this part of the season with good starting pitching performances. And, it's going to be asking a lot. We get surprised, pleasantly so, when Paddock goes 7 or 8 innings. I don't think we can expect SWR to do that.
Not yet, anyway.
Not yet. No, not right now. So if he can give you 5, maybe 6 games like that, that is exactly what the Twins need to not overwork the bullpen, to give themselves a chance to win, to get SWR himself confident about the next outing. It's really it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The people going off about Rocco taking him out after 5, like you said, you're absolutely right. They would have been complaining loudly if, why didn't he take him out? He knows he's terrible in the 3rd time around the lineup. So if something had gone wrong in the 6th inning. So I think that was a good thing that came out of the game, and we should take it and run with it.
Well, and
be happy.
Louis going back out there for a 2nd inning, and then that ball gets smoked off the top of the fence. And, granted, he pitched around it, but that would have been, why'd you send Louis out there for a 2nd inning? It's like, okay, you just want to complain. You're miserable. You're watching the wrong sport if you want a sport that's going to make you feel good inside. This sport will drive you crazy because it's mostly failure. So I don't know. I guess I probably give those types too much real estate in my cranium, but I just, it frustrates me because like the opposite of the decision that didn't work would have worked. Or if analytics or the analytically backed decision doesn't work 100% of the time, it was wrong. Well, it's just all logical fallacies that people are applying because they don't like somebody. And you're more than welcome to not like whoever. I don't care about that. It's just, why didn't you bunt? Well, if the bunt doesn't work, then what? You know, if your decision was better, the data would back it up. Pure and simple.
Reds are coming up. There's no game today in Cincinnati, so I speculated would the Twins like do a group thing to Kings Island, the amusement park in the Cincinnati area, made famous in the Brady Bunch. I think that's maybe what they could do, or maybe they could just go off and read in a corner. I don't know.
Skyline chili.
Well, we don't want any like gastro and enteritis.
Don't want a Bailey Ober situation from St. Louis.
No. So maybe stay away from Skyline until you're on the way out. Yep. There's also a place called the Montgomery Inn, which I've never eaten at, but C. Trent Rosecrans says it's a good place to eat. So
yeah, I trust that guy. Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Doesn't write
pitching
the line.
He doesn't. Pitching matchups: Festa versus Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott is probably one of the best left-handed pitchers that people don't really know about.
Mm-hmm. He's like Cole Reagans from a year ago.
Yeah, he's got a 1.87 ERA. So he's done well. He's kind of having the results that Nick Lodolo, who pitches in Game 2 against Ober, has not really had. He's sort of been inconsistent, but people were expecting big things out of Nick. So Festa versus Abbott. I would say Abbott's due for a little regression, and Festa's going to have a good game. I think that's a game that the Twins can win and kind of need to. They got to win that opener. Ober versus Lodolo. I don't know where Ober is in his progressions from hitting rock bottom, but hopefully that velocity that he found in the previous outing will lead to better things in his next start.
Little doubt in my mind he'll be okay, but yeah, it's troubling right now.
Paddock versus Nick Martinez. Nick Martinez, one of those guys that we always say, well, the Twins should sign him. He's a signable guy as a free agent, and they didn't. But Paddock looking to rebound after his most recent start. So the Reds are 37-35, 3 games back of the wild card, kind of in a similar situation to the Twins, but actually worse because they're trailing the Phillies, Padres, Giants, and Brewers in the race. So I don't know if that's overcomable, but they're 7-10 in one-run games. The Twins are 7-12. So this is 41 plus in run differential. So, which the Twins were until their recent 16-3 and 4 bombing. So
before
this is our sister team, I think.
Sorry, before we run out of here, you know how they do corrections at the end of pardon the interruption? I was looking at Correa's splits against the Astros just this season. For his career, he's 153, 205, 222. So not much better, but I wanted to correct the record.
He's trying too hard or something. I don't know. That's probably what it is. We want to thank you for trying hard to listen to this broadcast. Thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on the national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So for Brandon Warne, this is Dave Brown wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying that we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night.